Ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it. OPUR against Falcons. It is game number 1 of the World of Tanks Championship, live from the Keyhand Sports Center in Shanghai, China. OPUR against Falcons, and we do see the lineups coming in. OPUR coming in with 2277, Triple I 71 S-Conk, and the T100.
Yeah, a little bit interesting for me to see that T100 LT. I think there's a little bit of a change-up when you have a look on the Falcons side of things. They've gone for the CS63, the medium, instead of the light. But generally speaking, it seems like the approach is more or less going to be the same. Lots of IS-7s, lots of 277s, E5 in there as well for Falcons as well. But you've just generally speaking got the 6 heavy tanks set up and then the quote-unquote 1 scout tank, whether it be the light or the medium, doesn't really seem to make a huge difference. T100 LT, though, straight into the middle of the map here for Ketzai. He'll be able to get a lot of info there. Has already spotted out Fender, Reflection, and Shaw maybe just avoiding that spotting run in the CS63.
Yeah, we can see Ansha here also with the low noise exhaust, brings a bond HP as well as a bond drama here, so is going to be able to outspot those heavy tanks. Not a lot else though. That T100 is going to be a crucial asset for OPUR moving forward here in this competition. The T100, kind of an unusual pick. The meta has transitioned more over towards fast, heavy tanks recently, especially since the addition of the Bond HP module. That being said, though, lineup-wise, or rather opening-wise, for OPUR, pretty defensive, I would say, sticking to their like eastern part of the map. The tank that's furthest pushed up is, I think, one of the that is the S-Conk in the D7 position here, where he's going to be able to spot hold down. The T100 though, Ketzai, he's making an interesting run throughout that northern part of the map. As we see Reflection, he has taken the first shot of damage, but he's going to be spotting out against T-Sec.
Yeah, Ketzai being very mobile at the moment, which is, I guess, what you'd probably be wanting to see from your light tank. But I do like this scouting run from him. You're going to be able to get a lot of information that the north side is more or less being forgotten about for Falcons. They're not really interested in a two-flag push at the moment.
The T100 got spotted here. Ketzai, he needs to be very careful, because as stealthy as that T100 is and as fast and nimble, he just got spotted here. So he might be in the danger of getting caught out, because he doesn't have a lot of HP. Yes, he does have 1580, but that's like four shots of the 490 Alpha guns from the guns of Falcon here. And yeah, we do see the 277 of Falcons getting rotated back around here, of OPUR, actually.
He does seem to be okay moment, and going to get out quite comfortably. Hans Fury with that Super Conk going to try to take a bit of a peek up over the top. Robin bleeding some HP here as well, so already you're kind of starting to see OPUR take the lead in terms of small little HP advantages, and I think that's starting to sort of sow some seeds of doubt here for Falcon.
Yeah, now we see Karolf here, the player that was just swapped in, normally supposed to be the one carrying the water balls. He is now going to be the one holding the A8 angle. Also on the minimap, you can see that OPUR, the T100, he has actually made it once again out of that 8 line. So he's not going to be in any immediate threat of being overrun. And yeah, essentially Falcons, they're playing a pretty slow game of Sand River attack.
Very
here.
slow.
I mean, the map is pretty open, but now for OPUR, with 4 minutes and 30 seconds remaining, they seem to have discovered some kind of timing here, as T-Sec is starting to push that K line here. They seem to have seen some sort of opening. The S-Conk from the north also starting to get rotated. Rexar, Piotrix, both of them not spotted at the moment. They're looking to collapse onto Reflection.
Yeah, they've recognized that he's pretty isolated at the moment. It's just the CS63 of Archer coming across, but no one else will really be able to assist. So T-Sec cops a little bit of damage on the way in here, but only until this point is Rexar and Piotrix getting spotted out, and that is going to be a very dead Reflection. I can assure you of that fact. That IS-7 is not going to be making it out of here alive. 2 shots remaining. It'll be T-Sec and Piotrix to finish that one off. You'd have to imagine that's not going to be a difficult task for them at all. So first blood is secured by the European squad, and that sets them up nicely. 6 on 7 now.
6 on 7, but we did hear the cap siren, so Falcons do have some tanks committed towards the northern side of the map here that are close towards the 2 cap, but the S-Conk of Pan's Fury doing a good job of rotating away, not really getting over-pushed. Ketsai in that middle of the map, though, with the T100, needs to be very careful. Down towards 756 HP, is in a predicament, but seems to be able to get out of it. The S-Conk in the northern side of the map now getting over-pushed, though Pan's Fury did start to come up again. Is that going to cost him? It seems like it.
Yeah, I would have to say, I've got to give some credit to Falcon here. They are keeping the HP pool relatively close as you can expect, given that they're down a tank. But the issue is going to be, as they continue to lose members, they just have less guns in the game, therefore less DPM. And unfortunately, they're going to eventually get outstripped by OPUR. That's now 3 tanks taken down from Falcon's behalf, and they haven't even picked one back up in response, so OPUR doing a very good job of just juggling their HP. 3k damage out from Pan's Fury, has been in the thick of things so far, and a decisive victory is potentially on the cards here for OPUR. You'd have to imagine this can't go wrong from here.
Yeah, exactly. 7 tanks, 7 members of the team still standing for the team of OPUR, and for Falcons, it's only 4 and 4k HP remaining. Otto trying to do what he can, bouncing another one onto Kerolf as Rexa picks up HR, the Human Resources Department. I've been told he's called exactly that because he was the one selecting every single player on his squad, so definitely managing his team. But he's not going to be managing to pull off a win here as OPUR coming into this competition. All right, game number 2 in between Falcons and OPUR. Falcons, they have got to do it all, otherwise they're going to be up against a match point. Coming into this one with a singular 60 TP, then we have 4 IS-7s, 1A5 and a CS-63.
Yeah, interesting to see the bat chat coming out here for OPUR as well, something that you don't see every day. Beyond that, it's all IS-7s. I mean, look, there's a 60 TP, but 6 IS-7s is quite, or 5 IS-7s I should say, is quite the number.
I mean, Piotrik's whipping out the bat chat, a blast from the past, certainly, and he's even playing it the OG way, 1800 HP. That means he doesn't have an HP module mounted here. That means either spotting or fighting or both for him. And now, as we do see the opening by OPUR, it looks rather south-sided. We see the bat chat being diverted. Piotrik's there towards the southern side. He's going to get those first spots. He should be able to outspot Ansha, who is whipping out the 2250 HP, meaning HP of some sort. Ketsai, though, the team captain, taking the first shot of damage, trying to drive towards the mosque.
Yeah, 540 the roll, not a shabby one, assuming that might have come through maybe from one of the IS-7s. But either way, for Falcon, they do seem to have a pretty good setup for this southern push from OPUR. They've dedicated a lot of their units down in that area of the map toward the one flag. Reflection and Ansha essentially on the opposite side of where they were on the attack. And again, they upping a bit of a beating in mid there. So interesting to see what OPUR is going to do with this. They don't have any information yet as to where the defense is set up.
I mean,
has me a bit worried.
Yeah, the bat chat here. Piotrik's now with a spotting run. He's going to get the spot on towards, I believe, Fenna in that IS-7. So OPUR, I think they were just about ready to commit into that southeastern pocket here of the map. But looking at the minimap, Falcons, they seem to be sort of knowing what's up simply because some of the tanks got spotted there in the south. They probably assume that the bat chat is pre-spotting for the heavy tanks that OPUR has brought. And now we see the Polish team starting to second-guess themselves here, starting to turn around with those IS-7s, starting to drive away. I think that is the correct call to make.
Yeah, definitely seems to be. We'll probably see a little bit of a slower progression through this game now. I was leaning towards maybe a faster one if OPUR had have headed in that trajectory, but they've decided to turn around, and so it'll take them a little bit of time to explore the rest of the map here. Just up about 2 minutes of their time so far.
Yeah, Piotrik's here in the one line is going to start driving towards, I believe, A2, A3 from that sort of position at the red line. He should be able to see most, if not everything, that Falcons have been posting towards the northern side of the map. And we, as the all-knowing observers, obviously see already that, well, it isn't a whole lot there.
Really not. The 160 TP up on the top side.
Ketsai, I'm starting to get worried for him. I mean, he's 5 HP of greatness, but that in turn means, you know, he has taken a lot of punishment as well.
Yeah, I suspect he's kind of okay. As long as he's alive, then that's good news for OPUR, because he's kind of keeping these Falcon players pretty busy. But yeah, you're right. If they're going to, look, inevitably he is going to go down. It just seems like it's going to happen at this point. It's just a question of whether or not OPUR can set themselves up in a favorable enough position on this north side of the map before that does occur. And I'm starting to question whether or not they're going to have enough time to do that, because he's, well, 2, maybe 3 shots away from death now.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing for OPUR is also that the, excuse the pun, wildcard here, the CS63, his whereabouts are completely unknown at this point. He was spotted at the start of the game, but since then the CS hasn't been seen at all, and now we can see that Rexar and Karolf both, they have been spotted out by HR in that 62P is playing the anchor position, and that in turn means that the jig is up here for OPUR. Double heavy tank being committed towards the south. That is a big commitment in 7v7. We can see the other tanks for OPUR still lingering around in the south, and OPUR probably hoping that this commitment of the double IS-7 is going to like spark a reaction, which we do see. The CS63 there, interestingly enough, boosting the IS-7 towards the top right, but is it going to be enough?
I mean, if nothing else, it's going to relieve some of that pressure on Ketsai, who was certainly taking a beating, but it's not going to have quite as many players to worry about anymore. The trades are going back and forth, and so far OPUR really struggling to put any damage onto Falcon. I think at this point we're starting to wonder, okay, was that first round maybe an indication of something more, or is Falcon actually here to play? Because it certainly seems like now that we've swapped side, Falcon is looking far and away the better team. Orchek has been getting farmed as well. Rexar, some damage onto him as well, and the only trade back going 1 shot in the direction of Jiangshen. So OPUR definitely trading quite ineffectively at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, both teams now here 4,000 HP apart. Yes, Indel, once again, they have managed to not lose any guns as of yet. And oh, HR taking another big one. He is basically the emergency reset for the Northern 2 cap. And we can already see also that in A7 there is an IS-7 that's basically supposed to punish the resets coming through the northeastern part of the map. But other than that, that is not really a lot of pressure here, considering it's only, or it's less than 3 minutes remaining, and the cap itself is 1 minute 30, 1 minute 60. Like, they need 1 reset, that's it.
Sure, but I mean, they're starting to put a bit of that pressure back onto HR. He's down to half HP. If Piotrix gets onto the cap here as well, and inevitably Falcon is going to have to dump in to get the reset, then you're potentially sacrificing a tank with the Batchat on the other side there. He's decided, though, to go around the cap. Hasn't touched it, so they don't know there's a second tank here. And he's really going to be looking for a killing blow, you have to imagine, onto this 60 TP. This could be a deciding moment in the round. First shot doesn't quite connect. Second, third don't seem to have done too much. But HR at the very least has been pushed off of his perch. And that is going to really increase that cap pressure now with 45 seconds left to go. Otto in the IS-7 has to push forward.
Yeah, we can see now here the 60 TP doesn't get the shot onto what's Karolf, but Otto there with good shots onto the cap doesn't get the reset, however, is only going to have 1 more reload available to him. Ansha now with the CS63 coming in as well. Piotrix is going to touch the cap as well. He's going to provide a shield. There was 1 reset, but it seems to not be the IS-7 that's actually having the cap points down towards 5 seconds. Otto needs to be providing the resets. They're not coming in. 1 second, 0 seconds. Cap does get reset.
Only just, but have they done enough here, OPUR, to kind of push Falcons out of position? HR, surely you've got to dump in over onto that and try to take him out of the game. The time is not quite there for the cap anymore. I don't know, I think OPUR might have just left this one a little bit too late. They've got 1 minute and 15 to clean up 7 tanks. They're down 6 on 7 already, and that HP deficit is quite substantial. I don't see them pulling this one off.
An absolutely clutch reset here, saving the Falcons from having to go up against a match point immediately. And instead, OPUR, they're having to drive in towards that northeastern part of the map where there's a humongous crossfire set up for the tanks of Falcon that are now just doing what they do best. They're taking apart that OPUR team's easy pickings here. Pan's Fury out in the open for Ansha. Otto with another good connection. And this match is going towards an equal scoreline of 1-1.
Yeah, 36 seconds left here, OPUR. I mean, they're scrambling still. Karolf, if he could finish off Ansha, I don't know, is there maybe still a chance here with 30 seconds to go? Jiangshan coming across. I don't see it. I just don't see the angle. I just don't think there's enough here for OPUR. I mean, they're giving it the red hot crack, but realistically speaking, they've lost way too much now. And particularly early on in the game, a little bit too much bleed going in the favor of Falcons. And OPUR have unfortunately not left themselves enough rope to play with here. So, I mean, we can We can talk about it all we like, but as that timer ticks away, 2 seconds to 1, Falcons will secure their defensive-sided victory.
All right, so game number 3 in between OPUR and Falcons. OPUR coming into this one with double 277, 1 IS-7, triple mouse, and the S-Conk.
Yeah, looking pretty happy with things there for Falcon as well. Double 60 TP, IS-7, a couple of mouse, and a CS63. So nothing really too untoward getting thrown in on either side, although OPUR trending away from the lighter vehicles.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, Karolf here selecting the Grouser equipment, so he's going to be trying to go somewhere very quickly with that IS-7. Remains to be seen there, but the thought that I was trying to make here is that just on a map that has a 58% win rate for the defender, we are now switching to one with a 63% win rate. Currently defending is the team of OPUR, yes. So nominally we should be looking at a 2-1 scoreline for them, but we'll wait and see what happens as Falcon with a pretty aggressive south opening, I would say, sending double IS-7 60 TP as well towards that K line. The rest of the tanks, mostly the mouses, and another 60 TP centered around the southeastern outskirts of the city. And now Jiangshan and Otto getting spotted out. Pansphere's shot here not connecting into the double IS-7 that is pushing the K4 position.
Yeah, I mean, in response though, you do have OPUR taking control of the northern side of the map, so it is a bit of a push and pull going on right now. Both teams essentially seem like they've gotten what they wanted to. OPUR very quickly were going toward the northern side, Falcons were very quickly going toward the southern side, so I don't think anyone too disappointed by the initial opening. It's not as if the rock, paper, scissors has kind of screwed one of the teams over. Both have an initial setup that they can be happy with. The Reflection taking a little bit of a bleed there from 60 TP, but all things considered, not a bad start for Falcon. They did take control of the high ground on the southern side of the map, and a little bit back and forth with Karolf.
Now the thing that's kind of interesting to me is that Falcon seems to be playing a very slow attack once again, just like we saw them do on Sand River. And just from the experience from the past, I would say half a year on Ghost Town, is that the quicker the attack actually goes, the more chances it has of succeeding. Essentially what we saw there was a lot of commitment towards the 2 cap, sending 3 quick tanks into the cap and then quadruple super heavy tank to farm behind it. That is not what we're seeing at all by Falcons, and I think OPUR was kind of respecting that possibility, bringing that triple mouse, because as soon as you have the quadruple super heavy by the attacker, basically farming your tanks, you need to bring some meat, some beef of your own to be able to just start the shootout. That being said though, OPUR kind of trading well here. The only tanks that have taken damage currently are Reflection and Ansha in the 60 TP and mouse respectively. OPUR still full HP, all the 7 tanks of them.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you, right? I think this is an interesting setup from Falcons because they're putting a lot of presence on the southern side of the map, and maybe the idea here is to just try to dump onto Karolf in that IS-7 and pick that tank off. But if you were to drive down the hill here, you'd kind of get farmed. There's a Super Conk waiting for that possibility. Obviously, a very high DPM tank. You'd be taking 2-3 shots on the way through there from the Super Conk, and then Karolf as well. You'd be expecting to get a couple of good shots in as well. Not to mention the fact that Reflection is bleeding HP. So this kind of worries me a little bit. I think that's what Falcons is going to go for, but I think they are going to give up a lot of HP for this move, and Jiangshan to lead the charge alongside Otto. This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what OPUR have set up for. They were well prepared and ready for this. Another shot to go through, and Jiangshan, I mean, he's going to be lucky to make it.
Yeah, I mean, Karolf, the seasoned veteran, he obviously sees that the 60 TPs, the double tank behind him, is going to come into effect if he reverses too far. That's why you see him now driving out towards, possibly towards even Otto, but he's going to be trying towards Jiangshan. He's going to be bouncing one of those shots, but in the meantime, the captain of the team has done it all. He's collected the first kill of the game. Reflection to the grave. Karolf down towards 804. He needs to be careful. Robin aiming at him from the sidelines. He's going to be putting in another one, so Karolf is going to fall here towards Jiangshan. But in the meantime, OPUR just reacting perfectly in the city.
I just don't think it matters. I really don't think it matters if Karolf goes down there. Like, what are you going to do with that K1 position? You're just not going to be able to do a whole lot at all. There's 2 tanks, essentially almost 3, that are dedicated to trying to get that pick, and in the meanwhile, in the rest of the fight, obviously OPUR has that overmatch. They have plenty of tanks here fighting in the town, and they are going to walk away with the skirmish victory in the skirmish that actually matters.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Karol did exactly what he was supposed to achieve in that southwestern corner of the map, and that was waste time. He did a good job. Like, he even got the spots out when he needed to, so the other tanks that were supporting him were able to just put out that punishment. So they even got value out of that, and then they simply counter-pushed on towards the tanks that Falcon had close in the city. And now what we're seeing is essentially a mop-up operation by the side of OPUR, who are up 4k HP, who are up a tank, who are probably even up positions, you might argue. The 277 in the northeastern part of the map. A non-factor currently here, but he doesn't even need to be there.
No, it doesn't really matter at all. I mean, if push comes to shove, 277 is not the slowest of tanks. We'll get there eventually, but I don't even think it's really going to be required. Ketsai for Fender. Pietrix does go down to Robin, but by and large, I mean, just look at that. Robin's down to, well, pretty much a one-shot. Jiangshan 2. Otto the only one with any sizable amount of HP here available. Jiangshan cops a big shot there as well. And again, OPUR's on the defense as well, so they don't actually even really need to be doing anything here. They don't need to be pushing forward necessarily. They're more than happy to allow Falcon to sort of wallow in their self-pity. And at this point, I think we can all see which way this game is going to go.
Yeah, I mean, realistically here, OPUR is just waiting to pick it up cleanly. Ketsai, 4 kills, the team captain, stepping it up here in the mouse, as we do see him driving towards the last remainder of the team of Falcons. It's going to be Otto in that IS-7, who's still holding up the flag of the Falcons, but not for much longer. Ozic there with a good shot into his side. He's going to get moved towards a one-shot, and it's probably going to be Ozic to pick it up. Never mind, T-Sec from the back lines. All right, time to jump into the match point here for the European of OPUR. Falcons going to try to stay alive in this first match here with 1-2-7-7 quadruple 60 TP, a singular 50B, and the mouse.
I like the 50B. I'm a big fan of that one. OPUR going in a different direction. Double IS-7, double E5, triple mouse. Again, very, very heavy lineup, and that's something that I always like to see on a map like Ghost Town. I think it is a map that, you know, you don't necessarily need to lean toward the mediums or the light tanks quite so much. It's a little bit of a smaller map. A lot of the fights tend to happen in the village itself. So controlling the outskirts can still be done with those faster heavy tanks like the IS-7. But a 50B, how do we feel about that one for a reflection? That is a bit of a throwback to when he was playing in the old EO gaming roster. They used to love the 50Bs back then, but doesn't get picked up quite as much these days.
I mean, that is a big discussion we still need to have over the coming days. Basically, how the changes through World of Tanks that happened over the past years did impact the meta. And essentially, for me personally, it feels like autoloaders have lost a bit of their edge simply because of the HP module, because of field modifications that you have. That basically, you know, a 50B doing a full clip back in 2017 was a big deal, and now, you know, 2 50Bs roll up to like a mouse, and every single one of those does all their shots, and then still it is sort of a 50-50 if the mouse survives or not.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I'm always looking at as well. I'm sort of, I think in the 7v7 format, if you're going to take 150B, maybe you're better off going for 2, just because then at least you still kind of have that punching power, whereas with 1, you might just be better off with a single shot.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Either way, we'll see how they go. We'll see what Falcons can do with this one. They are on the defense, so that should, in theory, benefit them a little bit. Otto is going to try to fight control of the southern hill against Rexar.
Now, interestingly, obviously, that Rexar, he's whipping out the IS-7 here. That means that, in turn, he doesn't really have any cupolas to speak of. Otto in the 60 TP will have one, so Rexar will be able to take pot shots at that 60 TP cupola, but we can see Otto is playing it actually very carefully. Interestingly enough, though, by Falcons, there isn't really any tanks that can punish the crossover towards where Rexar is, so they are leaving that approach kind of uncontested. That being said, though, 2 shots of damage make that 3 taken by Falcons already, and only 1 or 2 in return onto Orzek here in that mouse. But Fender down towards less than 2k HP. Kind of needs to be careful not to get caught out here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the argument would be made he's already been caught out a little bit, which is not ideal. What is it? What's the terminology? The chicken has flown the roost or something like that? Something like that. I mean, the issue's already happened, basically, is my point. Yeah, again, it's the same thing I was talking about when we were just sort of discussing it pre-match. I don't think you can be allowing this kind of bleed to happen on a consistent basis.
Yeah, exactly. This time it not being Reflection, actually it being Fender instead. That all being said and done though, OPUR starting basically this Ghost Town attack here with about 1,500 HP more. In the grand scheme of things, that is not a whole lot, especially since Falcon, they do have the quadruple 60 TP. 2 shots of those, and the HP difference is essentially gone, as we can see Ketzai here in that city trying to secure more control, to secure more angles towards the 2-cap. I think this is also where, you know, OPUR at the end of the day are going to be wanting to go with their attack. You can see not really a lot of resources committed towards the north of the map, so Ketzai trying to get some information here. Also very interesting with the experimental HP, with the turbo and with the rammer here from that mouse. He doesn't get a connection with that shot, but OPUR slowly, steadily taking positions.
Yeah, so not quite the same fast play that we were hoping for, but either way, they're inevitably going to have to get in onto that 2 flag. It really does seem like the 2 flag is going to be the point of difference. This might well actually be that committed push.
Oh, Jiangshan there with a shot that does not connect into Karolf, and that's going to be the go sign here for Piotrix, Karolf, Ozek and Pansfury, all of those starting to drive towards the cap. The mouse is angling against a 60 TP, who is taking a shot by Ketzai, but retaliating into Pansfury in that E5. Karolf taking another big one into the side of his mouse, and OPUR bleeding for that cross on towards the cap.
It has to be said, though, that is, like, as far as bleed is concerned, that's really not too bad. It is starting to become a little bit more worrisome, but really they've only taken 2 or 3 shots on this cross. I've spoken a bit too soon, though, haven't I? Orchek now really starting to get pummeled. You would have thought for a moment OPUR could have gotten those 2 mouse onto the cap into relative safety, and almost both at full HP, but they did just stick around for 1 extra shot, and that has been punished. And you can see Falcons, they're not shying away from this fight at all, but as far as the HP deficit is concerned, it's still not looking too bad for OPUR. Remember, they came in with a little bit more. 3 mouse on the field is going to do that for you. They've got T-Sec and Ketzai around behind, and instead of capping, it looks like they just want to take the fight.
13 HP remaining on Fender. It's going to be T-Sec to pick up that kill, and now T-Sec is going to be reversing to face off against Ansha, and for OPUR, the cap is not really the thing that they want to go for anymore. Ketzai and Karolf over pushing on towards HR, looking for that next kill. Ketzai breaking the 3k damage threshold, and still the cap going, but Jiangshan shutting it down with a kill onto Ozek. Ansha on the other side of the map is going to get shut down in turn, and that means that OPUR is going to be left with 6 tanks towards 5 of Falcons. Make that 4.
Yeah, make that 4 indeed. Reflection down to 525 here as well. We'll be able to get at least 1 more shot off. We're back to the 4-on-4. 2 minutes left on the clock. Reflection, this clip is going to be hugely important. I've seen him fire at least 2 shots off. I think he might be on the reload now, just based on the way that he is driving, so I can't imagine he's going to be having much of an impact in the next 30 seconds or so. And this is where you really need to see OPUR come back into the swing of things. And what's also most important is Ketzai really needs to find a way to get into this fight and use that HP.
Yeah, Robin here with a good pickup onto T-Sec, and that means it's a 4 versus 3 situations now for the Falcon, as OPUR still has more HP. They have more to work with, but Rexar is going to be a 2-shot for Otto. He's going to get a good shot. Takes a big one, though, by Otto, moving him down towards a 1-shot. That 60 TP is a very annoying tank to be face-hugging against. That's why he's driving towards the side. Another good connection is going to reduce Otto towards a 1-shot, as Piotrix picks up Reflection here. This one is neck and neck, but the big meaty alpha guns of Falcons are once again superior here against the lower alpha of OPUR, and once again the captain here, Ketzai, with 1 minute and 50 seconds remaining, has got to do it all, but he probably won't be able to.
No, I don't think so. I mean, you're in a mouse. What are you really going to do at this point? There's just no way that you can win a clutch. 1 minute left on the clock. He's not even going to be able to catch that 277. So again, it seems like we're going to come down to another very similar result as what we did on the Sand River defense, with OPUR just not really having enough time to have a proper crack at it. I mean, if Ketzai was somehow able to clutch this one out, it would be an absolute miracle as far as I'm concerned. Robin shouldn't be making any mistakes here. Does bounce the shot, but again, it doesn't really matter. With only 40 seconds left, that mouse is just not a fast enough tank to really cause much of a problem here to Falcons. And yeah, I don't know how OPUR have let that one slip. I really don't.
I think the biggest problem was actually the cross off the mouses on towards the cap, where I'm not exactly sure who it was, but I think it might have been Ozek, who definitely overstayed his welcome. He took double shot by 60 TP, and then another one by one of the mouses. That is 2000 HP down the bin, down the drain, that you're not going to get back, and I don't think he even got a shot of damage in return. Alright, going into this tiebreak in between OPUR and FALCONS. OPUR bringing their defense here. 60 TP, double I7, double E5, and the double mouse.
Double BZ75, double IS7, E5 mouse, and CS63 for FALCONS. So just a little bit more pace available to them. Maybe they want to take control of the hill. I don't know if you saw there, just in the stage graphic, the map in China is called Hills, not Mines.
I think Hills is even the internal name for when the replays are generated. But yeah, Robin here in that CS63 immediately being sent towards the hill. That was always going to happen against a slow lineup of OPUR. They're going to take control of that part of the map. He's not going to get punished. He does spot out the double I7 that OPUR is sending towards the island, toward the H2 position, but there is not going to be any punish available. Rexa here seeing the BZ75, but the aiming circle not shrinking enough. We'll see if T-Sec takes one here. Ooh. As he does, big shot by that BZ in towards T-Sec's IS7.
Yeah, I have to say, that's not traditionally the way that that exchange should go. The defenders you'd want to be seeing normally as the ones to stop the cross, or at least get some damage on the cross. So I think all things considered, FALCONS very happy with the proceedings so far. They've got 3 tanks up onto the hill. They've been able to get one shot across onto T-Sec, a big shot as well, it has to be said.
Oh, Robin there with some HE shells in towards the one cap, starting to fell some trees, maybe opening up the options for a later cap play. You can just see that he's trying to prepare that one cap for everything that could happen in the future. Interestingly enough, FALCONS also bringing that mouse that has been known before to make cap shields on that one cap, together with a house that is available close to it. Something maybe for later. Currently though, FALCONS, they are rotating the E5 towards the east, but other than that, they seem to be very, very content with just holding the hill for now. The trades have been going in their favor. That being said, though, Jiangshan in that E5 has also taken a big one.
Yeah, look, I have to imagine this is going to end up being a one flag push. Fender copping a little bit of damage there in mid, with that E5 rotating down toward the 9-0 line. But you know what is interesting to me is I was talking to the Chinese casters yesterday actually, and they were indicating to me that they actually do see a lot of two-line pushes from the attack on mines, which, I mean, look, we'll see whether or not that ends up getting pulled out. I'm not such a huge fan of it, but it doesn't really look like FALCONS is too interested in that possibility just yet. And Rexa...
Oh, Rexa there doesn't even get spotted, because the vineyards in the cap, they do actually provide spotting cover. And also heat shells do tend to get caught in those, I guess, sticks that are holding up the vines.
Yeah.
So he does have a pretty difficult time with that heat shell here. As you can see, it does not connect. Jiangshan gonna make his way over towards the cap. We can see Robin in the CS just providing cover fire. Rexa so far no damage taken, but he probably took a lot of, or some bounces at least, so he knows what's up. The E5 Jiangshan, he might be able to start capping, but those HE resets, they could be coming in. Falcon seem to be setting up that dual-pronged attack though. 8-9 line together with the 4 line here. Are they going to commit in Otto and Ansha is the question. Ozek would be on the receiving end, but there's a lot of tanks that could actually punish.
Looks like they're going to go for it. Otto leading the charge, obviously in the mouse, wants to be the one to soak up the majority of the damage, and not so great in terms of the exchange here for OPUR just yet. A lot of bounces coming through on their behalf, and they are giving FALCONS quite a lot of room to work with here. Finally, Orchek will slide one through. Fender now really starting to cop a beating. Falcon getting some cap pressure on as well. It's starting to kick off now on mines.
Yeah, Pansfury here. Otto actually in the thick of it, getting crossfired both from the island and from the position that Pansfury has available. Katsai all the way flanked around in his I7 available. That is a very, very proactive play up by the Polish player here. Otto taking damage, taking shot after shot down towards 440. That's a one-shot here as Jiangshan starting to overpush the two cap. So actually the OPUR tanks now in a crossfire, but they're starting. Crossfire means that you can shoot everywhere and see enemies.
That is true. Karolf is starting to get pretty low. Orchek as well, getting whittled down. But end of the day, you're starting to see Falcon losing members here and there. And even if they were able to keep the HP close, their guns in the game are not going to be able to keep the DPM up in comparison to OPUR, who have such a nice crossfire established. And this is why Mines is considered such a defensively sided map. If it wasn't even as bad as it was, then Ketsai around the back is going to make it worse.
Yeah, good baiting here by Ketsai, trying to make that BZ shoot, succeeding. The low pen of the BZ not able to go through the upper plate of that IS-7, and now we can see OPUR here, 7 tanks available. Once again, this team of OPUR here, their strength is keeping guns alive, and that is exactly what they're doing. Pan's Fury now on that 8 line is going to get the kill on towards Jiangshan, and then the only remaining bastion by Falcons is going to be that hill here, where Reflection starting to get pushed. He's getting shut down, and OPUR on the victory march here in the first match.
Yeah, victory lap really at this point for them, isn't it? HR, the last alive in that BZ75, and it will be OPUR to shatter the hopes and dreams of the Chinese fans, as it is a 3-2 victory for the Europeans.